The quiet exhaustion of trying to be a good Christian. Sometimes being a good Christian is very, very tiring. Not loudly tiring, not dramatic, just quietly exhausting. You wake up already aware of who you're supposed to be: kind, patient, pure, faithful, grateful. And most days, you try. You really do. You pray in the morning. You read a few verses. You ask God to help you do better today. And yet, by the end of the day, there's this low hum of disappointment sitting somewhere in your chest. Not because you walked away from God, but because you never feel like you're quite enough for Him. Maybe you've never said that out loud, but you've felt it. That subtle pressure to be spiritually consistent, to have steady faith, to not struggle with the same things again. And when you do struggle again, it's not just guilt, it's fatigue. The fatigue of trying to be the version of you that you think God prefers. I wonder if you know that feeling. You're at church, you're singing the songs, you lift your hands, but part of you is calculating. Did I pray enough this week? Did I lose my temper too much? Am I growing fast enough? It's like you're constantly grading yourself, and the grade is never quite an A. There's a kind of tiredness that comes from running from God, but there's another kind that comes from trying too hard to impress Him. And the second one is harder to admit because it looks spiritual. You don't look rebellious. You look disciplined. You don't look distant. You look devoted, but inside, you're tired. Tired of monitoring your thoughts. Tired of correcting your tone. Tired of wondering if God is pleased with you today. I once imagined faith like walking with someone you love. But sometimes we turn it into a performance review. Like every night, there's an invisible clipboard. And God is checking boxes. Obedient, inconsistent, trying, needs improvement. And even if you would never say that out loud, your body lives like it's true. Your shoulders are tense. Your prayers are careful. Your joy feels measured. You want to be good, not to earn salvation. You know better than that. But maybe to earn a sense of closeness, to earn the feeling that God is not slightly disappointed. There's a story in the Gospels where Jesus is baptized before He heals anyone, before He preaches, before He performs a single miracle. A voice from heaven says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Nothing had been accomplished yet. No ministry, no sacrifice, no public success, and yet, well pleased. Sometimes I sit with that scene and wonder what it would feel like to live from that place, not toward approval, from it. What if the exhaustion you feel is not because you lack discipline, but because you're living as if love must be maintained, as if one bad day tilts the scale, as if spiritual growth is a fragile thing that depends entirely on your consistency? There's a difference between growth and strain. Growth has effort in it. Strain has fear. Growth feels stretching, but alive. Strain feels tight and anxious. And maybe you've confused the two. Maybe what you've been calling dedication has quietly become pressure. The kind that doesn't shout. The kind that just slowly drains you. You read about grace. You believe in grace. But you live like effort is the real currency. You measure your closeness to God by how well you performed that week. And when you fail, you don't just repent. You retreat. You shrink a little. You promise to try harder next time. But what if being a good Christian was never meant to feel like holding your breath? What if obedience was meant to grow from safety, not anxiety? In Matthew 11, Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He doesn't say, "Come to me once you've improved." He doesn't say, "Come after you've stabilized your spiritual life." He says, "Come, weary, burdened, tired." The kind of tired that comes from carrying expectations, even religious ones, especially religious ones. Maybe tonight, you don't need another strategy. Maybe you need permission to unclench, to stop auditing your soul for a moment, to let yourself be loved without calculating whether you deserve it today. You are allowed to grow, but you are not required to strain. You are allowed to desire holiness, but you are not required to manufacture worth. The Father who said, "This is my beloved Son," before anything was achieved, is not waiting for you to impress Him into affection. And maybe the quiet exhaustion you feel is simply a sign that you've been trying to carry a weight that was never handed to you. You don't have to be less sincere. You don't have to care less about your faith. You just don't have to hold it with fear in your hands. Maybe tonight, you can set the clipboard down. Maybe you can let your shoulders soften. Maybe you can sit in the simple truth. You are already loved, not because today was perfect, not because this week was consistent, not because you tried hard enough, just loved. And from that place, real change grows slowly, not forced, not frantic, just steady, like breathing again. And maybe for now, that is enough.